Good morning. I'm just waiting for the fifth member of the board to sign on and open the meeting.
The last meeting I missed, so they're not here. I remember reading these minutes and saying, God, I can't remember any of this happening. And then I said, I wasn't here. As soon as I open this can and eat it, everyone will come. Okay?
Sure.
Here we go.
Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order, please, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there. Thanks, guys.
Hi.
And we have the video on. So over the weekend, you received the minutes from the March meeting. And were there any corrections to those? Nick?
No,
Very good.
not from that.
Is there a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, Robert made the motion, Pingree seconded, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Megan, yes?
Yes, sorry. Aye.
Very good. Thanks. Nick? Okay, we got four on that. So
Is Nick up there?
Nick has his video off for the present moment. All right, just to go over the approvals by committee of two. The application for new construction at Melville Road LLC located at 416 Hedges Lane was approved after submitting a hard copy of the lighting analysis as we requested. So we're going to start off with the business new construction 342 Town Line Road LLC. Peter, are you? I thought I saw you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Peter Gabrielli here.
So our request at the end of last time you were here was to continue to work on the reduction of the glazing on this. And if you can let us know what sort of steps you've taken on that angle.
I'm going to hand it over to Craig Long, the architect. He put a lot of work into this painstakingly over the past few weeks.
Okay.
I'll hand it off to Craig.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so, after our last meeting, we, really just took a hard look at everything that we had submitted from day one, trying to maintain and keep the integrity of our original design and everything that we loved about it. But we went through really window by window, elevation by elevation, both inside and outside. And I feel we made some great strides and some substantial reductions as opposed to last time when we were here. There was a letter that was submitted just sort of as a general recap that outlined sort of floor by floor, window by window, the reductions. But if you'd like, I can just go through them sort of elevation by elevation or floor by floor.
Yeah, the elevation would be fine.
Yes, that's the
Thank you.
letter. So on the front elevation, we have the large square windows. So on each of the large square windows in the connectors, we're each reduced 10 inches in width and 10 inches in height. Additionally, the second floor window, so that was on both floors. Each of those large squares were 10 inches in width and 10 inches in height. On the second floor, on the left wing and the far right wing, the windows on the second floor were reduced 12 inches in height for the far left and right. And the ones in the middle section of the house were reduced 6 inches in height. So what we did, just in trying to maintain the integrity, we kept the centers aligned all the way across, but then we're able to just adjust everything so we can maintain sort of the balance and not increase the space between the floors and make it look like just sort of out of proportion. So that was the majority of it for the front elevation. So the front, originally our application showed, so originally we were at 28.8%. With our new area, actually make sure I'm on this, we are at, with just clear glass, we're at a 26%, but what we were proposing is going from clear glass to it's a 72% transmission glass, which actually equates things down to an 18.8%. Kind of across the board for everything. So just going to the 72% glass, that's for the whole house. And then additionally, on those connectors, we're proposing 39% transmission glass, which equates to a total net equal to a 15.7%. So essentially, it's taking the total glass from a 28.8% to netting what would be equivalent to a 15.7%.
28% to what?
So it's 28.8% was the original, and then the new glass area, it's 26%, but with additional reductions due to types of glass, we're netting down to equivalent to a 15.7%.
I don't think we've ever accepted that as a way to calculate percentages against the wall.
It's confusing.
Pardon me?
It's confusing. You went from, you said 28.8 then to 18.8. What does that mean?
So the 18.8 is just instead, if you went from 28.8 to 26% in straight reduction.
Square footage.
Square footage reduction. Then if you take
You're
what,
saying you have 28% emission reduction, you're taking that as a square foot reduction
Square foot.
in terms of it. And I'm saying that as a board, we've never accepted that as a position. I'm just,
okay.
so that the board understands what you said.
Sure, sorry, I'll clarify. So in straight reductions, we're from 28.8% to 26%. And then additionally, to reduce what that net transmission rate would be, we're providing additional provisions to reduce essentially a tinted glass, in essence, to help further reduce the light transmission. And that's where, if you take the 26%, which is the net reduction, we're netting down to, if it was clear glass, to something that would be equivalent to a 15.7. Yes, I'm sorry, 15.7%.
And did you want to go over the other
Yes, please. So on the
three slides?
right elevation,
That's 202, correct?
that's correct, 202.
Okay.
We reduced the large picture window that's in the middle on the second floor. That was reduced 8 inches in height and 8 inches in width. There was a small window to the left of that, which was been completely removed, which was equal to the window to the right. Additionally, on the second floor, the 2 windows to the left have both been reduced 12 inches in height. The windows to the right, originally there was 3 windows, now there's 2. Those have also been reduced 12 inches in height. On the first floor, there was, to the right-hand side, the 2 windows originally, the 2 door sections, they were both originally triple panels. They're both now double panels. So they've been reduced as well. So the net was, originally we were at 20.6%. The true net of clear glass now is the 16.7, so it's a 20.6 to a 16.7 reduction. Then I have the additional breakdowns of going to have with some of the tinted glass.
Right.
Where then we go from 16.7 using a tinted glass throughout, we're equivalent to a 12%. And then if we use the additional tints on the large picture window, it would be equivalent to an 11.1%. But the net is the 20.6 reduced to the 16.7.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
On the rear elevation.
Sure. I have to object to the presentation. We have asked in the past, you are asking us to go through in a very extensive, and we understand and appreciate the amount of work you've done, listing of what you've changed. Whereas if we had a visual representation of the change by a comparison, if that sketch on the top was followed by a sketch on the bottom of what it did look like and what it now looked like, we would have saved you and the board a great deal of time and made it much clearer to us as to what the real changes are, because not being an architect, I'm trying to imagine what the place looked before. I don't have the last plans in front of me. So I have no idea of reality what this house looks like differently from the house previously. Okay, so that's number one. Okay, number two, and we have asked that in our board meetings to have these comparative sketches done for us, because it's the only way to effectively decide what the changes are. Now, I see that they're circulating our prior sketches. And the second, you were making a new argument relative to being able to say that percentages of glass should be revised by the transparency of the glass itself. But I don't, our issues are not what you see in or what you see out, but how the glow is affecting our neighbors. And without an example of how that's different, I don't know how much to respect this spectacular change that you're indicating should be. Because if it still glows, but it looks like frosted glass rather than clear glass, it's still going to glow. I'm really having a problem being able to make a decision at this point.
All right, I guess I'm happy to, essentially what I'm trying to explain is, I'm trying to explain that we have made these reductions and that outlining of what they are. And then, yes, there are these additional tints that we are willing and proposing that we will use if the board finds them satisfactory.
Would you do me a favor? Can we get the sketches from the last submission put
That's
up
what
on
I
the
just
screen?
gave you.
Yeah, I know, we have it in front of me. Is it possible to get it on the screen?
Oh, yes.
This is the original.
No, that was.
The second, but this, it is the changes from that we were looking at today. And I believe when we put this up on the screen, you won't know which one is which.
They look very similar.
There you go, look.
So, there are a couple obvious changes. But they are going to look pretty much
They
similar.
look pretty much the same.
It all depends what it all adds up to.
I think the whole point is that we want it to look similar, but just taking into account to try and reduce where we thought architecturally it was appropriate to do so, where it would help achieve what the board was looking for. And I think we were able to achieve that by, say, on the rear elevation, reducing the large door in the living room, and then also taking the doors on the right-hand side where they're the large triples, making them into doubles. So I think there really are some great strides that have been done, and I think we've really listened to the board and really tried to take all of that into consideration. We do not have a specific.
Could you go back one, please? Back once. Thank you.
Would you mind if I pointed up there and it's what you
Not
got?
the least, of course, we want the information.
So I don't think these are the
Those look like exactly the same as the original, I believe.
original, the second version possibly.
Second.
I think it's the second version. So these windows here, we're shrunken quite a bit, 10 inches by 10 inches, all four of them.
I see it.
These in the middle, we're shrunk at 6 inches, but they kept their center line. These up here and up here, we shrunk a foot, keeping the center line. So we listened, we reduced the second floor significantly, and Craig was clever enough to make it not impact the architecture that much.
I understand.
Is that clear to everyone? Go to the next slide. In the back here, this door was reduced by, Craig, you help me with that? I want to say it was almost 2 feet.
12 inches in height and 20 inches in width.
So that was reduced significantly. This double door got smaller. It was about 9 foot, now it's 8 foot.
Yes.
These triples are now both 8-footers to match that one. So we have a lot of glass back there. This window is blacked out at the top of this, I'm sorry, this door is blacked out, and this one's blacked out completely. There's sheetrock behind it, so it's literally not really a window. It's gonna transmit light. On the second floor, we changed the front windows to be a foot shorter inside the house. That would be weird if we had other windows, taller windows on the front shorter. So around the entire rear, we made the windows a foot shorter around the entire second floor of the house.
You understand how quick this demonstration is in explaining what was done.
Is this helpful?
This is incredibly helpful.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Because this is specific and it's easy for us to take a look, for me, to take a look at what the changes are. It's taking a minute.
I was sitting there and I totally agree with you, I understand. So all the windows on the second floor got a foot shorter. We reduced 1, 2, 3 door panels, 1 door in size, 2 doors got blacked out. This double window on the side of the master wing and the double on the other side were triples, they're doubles now. And they're also shorter like the other windows. You want to look at the side elevations?
No.
You understand, okay. So the thing we're proposing is extra. I actually got the idea from this board. I was in here 3 years ago for a presentation. And I forgot who the architect was, but they proposed a special glass. I was like, wow, that's really clever. And it was approved by the board, I believe. And I think that's a really smart idea. So the whole house is going to be 72% glass, transmission glass. So that reduces it significantly. We came in here like that. We knew it was an issue. We came in like that. The thing I'm willing to do so that I don't lose the architectural integrity, we don't, is this big door and those big connector windows, those big glass ones in the front. Those are really like special elements that if we lose them, those connectors don't make much sense inside the house. So I'm willing to go to 38% transmissible glass. I brought a sample in last time we were here. It's a darker glass, but I think because it's such a separate element if that glass is darker physically, it's not frosted or anything. It looks like glass. It's just like his computer screen looks like now, a little darker. I think if that's a little darker and it's in these separate areas, it doesn't hurt the integrity of the house from our perspective. And hopefully it's something that you appreciate.
Thank you.
Is that helpful?
I think you've done an admirable job reducing the light. No, and you kept the whole design of the house. I wasn't here last month, but just looking at it now, I can see what you've done, and you've done a good job.
He did a great job. You worked hard.
You've done a good job.
And that showed, and now you've shown it.
Thank you so much.
Do we have that sample here too? Or
We
did you
do.
take it?
Don't you like it?
Yeah, it might be helpful for Robert to see it. As well. Thank you, Tom.
What is this house back on? I don't know where this house is on town line road.
It is
What is the
a,
back of
it
it?
is a flag lot placed way out into a field, a former field.
Okay. Oh,
So there's a group of houses towards the west that are gonna see this. You're probably not gonna, well, it's high enough to notice, obviously, from town line when you're driving downtown line. But
Yeah, no,
it's set way back, and if, do you have the map of that, the position? So. This is
These
color
lights these days, just amazes the kinds of.
It's a manufacturing process also. It's not a plot coding.
Right. This is the 39.
Might be in the back of it.
So what you can do is you can actually look through the glass at something that has the sun on it, and then you can see the differences.
as much as I appreciate it, and I think it's, we're close in my mind to some approvals here. It is, as a board, you're gonna get a glow. In other words, notwithstanding the substantial efforts being made here, and they're clearly substantial, and the design work especially, and the glass work is, if it was sitting on the road, how would we feel about just the transmission changing?
Right.
Because it will be, in other words, if everybody lights up on the inside, it's what you see.
Right.
And I just need to raise that for the board because we have approved this type of structure. It does help. There's no question about it. We are going to be suffering light pollution no matter what we do. And as a board, I don't know what our overall position is, should be.
Yeah.
It's very disquieting.
I agree. It's something that we are continuing to find, continuing to seek.
If you don't mind me saying, I
Sorry.
think this might be super valuable to the board going forward. You know, glass like this might be really valuable to you. That's what you.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you about that. It's still the mass and the fact that it's gonna glow. And no matter what you do.
The most
it's gonna
valuable
glow
thing,
something.
I'm so sorry, Tom, but the most valuable thing from my perspective, if automatic lights were totally rejected in Sagaponic, that no light could go on just because it got night, it would change. The problem, we have an issue that homes that are totally empty, okay, light up as soon as it turns dusk. And don't light up one light, which would be true if you were living in the house, 32 lights go on.
Is there a way, that makes a lot of sense, by the way, is there a way to have some type of ordinance, once the house is built, to enforce lights on with nobody home for more than an hour, a half hour or something?
Okay, it's called burning down the houses and trying it, that just didn't work. But thank you for the suggestion.
Okay,
I'm not a lawyer.
on the screen right now is the location so that you can get an idea of where it is. All right, so the location is set back off the road.
Yeah, on this particular home, I think that
It's much.
This is the lot.
finer.
yeah,
This is the lot, there's two houses in front of it, here's Town Line Road, Wayne Scott Main Street is over here. So you go past two houses, there's a lot, this house is about 600 feet from our house, it's a newer house we approved a couple of years ago. These houses are set, this one's set over here and this one's here, so they're really gonna see, our house will be set about here. So they're gonna see mostly the side. And then the guy in the back would probably see the rear, but he's pretty far away and has some landscaping and a pickleball court.
Can you just illustrate the angle of the house on the lot?
So the house would be right here, the L shape would come out to here. Garage in the front. That helpful? So I'll be on that one, sorry.
That's okay. He's reading something.
I think we
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, well,
Okay, Megan, thoughts?
I do have some thoughts. I have a next door neighbor who built a new house and he's got his lights on a timer. So whether he's there or not, I have to close my shades so that I don't see his house and I can no longer look at the stars when I'm falling asleep at night. And we've texted him, we've messaged him, and he does not respond. So we have to deal with that every weekend and all summer. And putting trees up in the way doesn't really help that much. That just means everything gets shaded and the other things don't grow. And so there's really no solution. And so there's a lot of windows in this house, guys. So it's a beautiful home. I really feel that truly. And it isn't that you haven't made an effort, except that it's still
A lot of glass.
a lot of glass. I'm so sorry.
There is one thing, and this doesn't affect every elevation, but certainly the front elevation and the left elevation. Parts of the glass which are in the calculation are in the garage, which is really there for aesthetic, not rooms that are typically ever left on at night. So I really do think in reality, it may not quite be as bad for certain elevations, but that certainly doesn't address every elevation. I do think that does help in the reality of it. And also there are some windows that are up in the gable ends that we're not proposing to have any lights in the attic and things like that. And they're really purely decorative. So I think we're certainly trying. I think we've made some great strides and are willing to go the extra mile with the glass.
The thing we just saw.
and I think the numbers, the general percentage is significantly less than our applications that have been approved. And I think there's an architectural integrity we discussed last time that I think is important also. Again, we're willing to do whatever we need to do to help.
Understood.
Okay,
You have to speak out loud because
which
you're proud of the
level?
ears.
I'm so confused.
It's behind the red dot,
Behind the red dot.
to the left of the red dot.
Town Line Road,
Yeah.
No,
This
I
is the-
know where it is. I just don't understand on the drawing.
So this is the property?
That's your property. That's
Yes.
where the house is
the
going.
flag comes in here,
Okay.
the L shape of the house is right here.
No, it's the pointer that got me all confused. I thought maybe we were
Yeah.
gonna tear down.
And this guy's very far away. This house we can't even see, and these hedges are about 14 to 16 foot tall. So I think there's a lot, you can't even see the other houses, but there's a lot of them down over there.
Yes.
Well, you can see them from the second.
You can. It's mostly-
This one here, you probably can, yeah, I think you're right, but you understand, right?
But they'll be able to see your windows through this.
But it's against a tennis court and a swimming pool that is gonna see the light, seems to me.
Oh,
Okay,
Nick, any wisdom comments?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of effort in terms of the application. Could I just review not the revised from the revised, but the current percentages of glass?
Sure. Would you like me to just read them elevation by elevation?
Yeah, just the actual number, the percentage of glass per elevation.
So,
It seems that the main issue is not in the architecture or the way that you've situated the house or the scale. It's just there's, as everyone stated, there's just an awful lot of glass.
just getting back to my start point.
So it'd be 211 and 212.
Correct.
Left side of the page.
Okay, so the front elevation was originally 28.8%, is now 26%. The left elevation was originally 19.4%, is now 16.1%. The rear elevation was originally 32.5%, is now 27.2%. And the, let's see, the left elevation, or the right, right, I'm sorry, the right elevation was originally 20.6% and is now 16.7%.
If this is an idea or a question mark, if you could go back to the upper elevation showing, I just wonder with those tall, I don't know if they're double hungs or what they are. I just wonder if you were to lift, I'm just trying to help you with the application and hopefully getting this through. It seems that the sill heights are very low to the ground. In an effort to try to get your numbers a little more acceptable, would you consider lifting those sills up? Because I'm not sure the light, especially with the way that you've shown your landscaping, is really really necessary to have them so low as that.
We did that,
Well, on the second floor, we reduced all of them already. On the first floor, it would be a question, would we reduce all of the first floor windows, say by 6 inches?
Yeah, could you go back to the renderings? I think it's clearer there.
The second floor, we did reduce by 8 inches.
the board always requested the second. That's what they did.
And we did.
Oh, there you
work.
And then just pull that out into the screen so we can see clearly.
Yeah, so if you just stay in an elevation, these various windows are almost, it looks like they're within, I don't know, they're almost going straight down to the ground, right? Well, all of these are sliders actually, so it's not this elevation.
That's the other.
They're saying windows, but their windows are going right to the ground, it looks like.
Where's that?
They're typically about 6 inches off,
On the
6
first floor.
inches off the floor on the first floor.
If I may point out, when we were here last time, the Blade McCoy's project just got approved and had a high percentage of glass. And the board was okay with that because it was a ranch. That was the first floor. So we really focused on the second floor, assuming that the first floor wasn't an issue based on the conversation we had had, just to point that out. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I understand. It just seems to me that you're not gonna get the approval that you're asking for, and I'm trying to help you. It just seems that, to have windows that go 6 inches to the ground, if you were to say make it, I don't know, a foot and a half, you would shave off another X percentage across the board.
It's not being effective. You're gonna get splashed up dirt in a storm and all kinds of stuff there.
That was really more of an aesthetic decision from the inside about how it would breathe equally within the walls, something we were trying to maintain. I guess.
Anyway, it's a suggestion. You can accept it or not. I think the board in general feels that the glass number is still too high. So that was just an offering, but I'll let the rest of the board speak.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
The first time we were here, there were 3 specific issues. And I think we went above and beyond that.
We've always repeated the glass.
Well, no, but it was specifically, it was the big glass panels on the front of the house, the 4 of them, and it was the tall door in the back. That was when we left here the first meeting, that's what we went to work on. And now we've done a lot more beyond that. So I think we've reduced everything about 20%.
Right,
And want to,
but when you start off with such a huge percentage and filing off the edges is an approach and it is a reduction. But it's up to the board to make a consensus on this, whether we feel that this is an adequate amount of reduction or whether there's still a fair amount of glass there. And even in this setting, you're going to at night have a significant glow out of this, I
If
think.
you use the lower transmission glass, there's specifically less light that transmits through, which is less glow. I'm willing to do that in those areas, even at the 38% or so.
Okay,
Those are the biggest pieces of glass. For significant.
I understand.
If that's helpful.
It's-
I'm
it's-
willing to-
Not just my decision.
I'm speaking to everyone I know. That's understood.
Megan, thoughts? Okay, thank you. Ingrid,
My only concern is the four big windows there. The small windows don't bother me. When all the lights are on in there, big party time, it's gonna be very bright. If that window, those four windows could be fixed or lowered in density or whatever you do, that would make me happy. The other windows I think are fine. We can't ruin the whole architecture integrity of the design of the house by getting the windows smaller and smaller. So I concentrate on those big four windows.
it's a case of what you and I were raised with as opposed to what is a selling point or what is today's modern look and what people are after. And you have to remember that a lot of houses end up coming through with glass and then they hang up curtains because they don't want anybody watching what's going on in the house. Totally different conversation.
Yeah.
But this is what's being proposed. In my mind, personally, I would probably encourage them to do something a little bit further with reducing the size of the large panels on the back in that great room.
Yes.
Robert, what is your thoughts? I see you're studying the code. It looks like.
I'm not actually studying the code, I'm studying the language, percentages, okay? And this board's desire to assist architects, designers, and others, okay? The annoyance, which you can tell from my voice, is you come in with 100% glass, and then you come in as we reflected in the minutes that we just approved, with a 1% to 2%, maybe a 3% change. You haven't changed squat. Okay, then you come in again, so you work very hard, and you give us another 1.5% change, but come up with a very creative solution about the change in the visibility of the glass. Okay, and we sit here trying to say yes to you, where it would be very easy to say no. And I don't know my answer at the moment. Because as I look at this, I think that as a design element, I think that the building is absolutely gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. We have an obligation here to protect our neighborhood. And this is done with great grace and style. And I want to sit here and just say yes. But I don't, I gotta think about it for another minute. It's disturbing not to be able to help. Because as Nick said, does it change the interior vision of your architect and designer if you say you can't have windows that go down to within 6 inches of the ground? It's not my judgment to say, well, you can't do that. You gotta move it up because you're entitled to your artistic vision about what a home should look like. A lot of people have glass top to bottom now, and we have to deal with that. I'm sorry, I just don't have a feeling at the moment.
Understood. So we were trying to find that balance between something that we felt was, very, a little bit more architecturally fitting, but yet still try to, get glass and light and everything that everybody is looking for today. So it really, has been a challenge to not just do old glass walls everywhere. A lot of people ask for all the time. So understood.
You might have done enough.
Okay, so
Personally, I think I would ask you to reconsider what Nick is suggesting. It's just very glass heavy still. And I realize you're not thrilled with that, hearing that, but
No, that's not my point. I worked on this hard with Craig, he did most of the work. I don't know if there's many other places we can go. Now, if you just want the number reduced, and I take a sill and I bring it up 6 inches, is that really affecting the neighbor's light transmission?
No.
I don't think it is. I think it just hurts the architecture of the house just to achieve a better number. I don't think it does anything practically, with all respect.
I think that's a very good point. So
Can you lower
pushing to change this house is very difficult.
okay.
I'm not comfortable pushing to change.
even getting the light
I don't think it's
Commission
What it
goes
comes
forward.
down to is, do they have a majority of the board's vote?
Yeah.
We
So,
can take
do you want to take a
Take a
straw
straw
vote?
poll or a
Yeah.
vote?
All right. So, I'm inclined to request further reduction. Physical reduction, not treating glass.
Need smaller windows?
Yes,
Ooh.
I think that hurts the house.
I understand your opinion.
Do you agree? I do too.
I cannot, I think it's a really nice house. And I would just hope you could really reduce the light coming from the big porch, those 4 big porch things. I just can't, we just can't keep changing somebody's design. It all fits. It's perfect. It's of a piece.
Okay.
So lower those 4 big windows, make it some kind of magic glass that you can see out of, but not in. That's all I can say.
Okay, Robert?
I actually would approve.
Okay. Megan?
I would like to see less windows as well, smaller or less. Unfortunately, I do think the house is beautiful and I don't think it will suffer. I think it will be balanced because we're very talented. But I just got an email from another friend of mine, neighbor down towards the ocean, off Ocean Road, who had a house, was just glowing. And it had about this many windows and it was awful to see. And he was disappointed because he just bought that house. So my issue, my friend's issue, it's just an issue. So really appreciate it if you guys could be a little bit more considerate. I think the house will not suffer. That's my thought.
Thank you. Nick?
Yeah, I think I've spoken. I agree. It's just too much glass.
Okay, so at this point, you would get a denial and start over.
Okay.
So do you want to reconsider where you were at, or?
I want to be a good neighbor. I lived here for 20 years. I want to make this work. I want you to be happy. I want us to be happy. Well, I don't know where to go at this point, other than her comment about those square windows, which I can figure something out.
But that only gets you 2 votes out of 5. And you need 3 to get your approval. So
Craig,
just-
what's your opinion?
And I think, I mean, I agree with everything that you said, that I don't know how much it really makes a difference to the neighbors, but just in pure numbers, I'm sure if we reduce the first floor windows by 6 inches, I think that would help get the numbers if everybody was comfortable with that. Like I said, at the end of the day, I don't really know what that does, but I mean, I think we can make that work architecturally within the design.
Okay.
If that's enough for everybody, I'm just not, I mean, I'd love to tell you we are, wiring everything for motorized shades within the house, but obviously we can't tell you everybody's going to use them. And that's,
Yeah.
the hope would be that they would, but, can make it convenient for them too, but we can't force them to press a button.
Is there a place we can get to where there's understanding of, we raise those sills 6 inches? And is that, can we get,
We will never give a specific, we can't.
I
We
understand.
could say that the details on the front of the house, the walkways on the front is something to attack. I know what you want it to look like. You could perhaps have it look like that, but not be that. Okay, in terms of where we are, we actually had someone block glass from the outside of the barn door so they could have an inside view that looked like they wanted to, but did not transmit out. We have accepted that as a solution. The change in the size of the windows would obviously be something that changes the percentages. And obviously this board, including me, who's a yes vote at the moment, would look more favorably on this.
Would any of the glazing solutions help in key places like we're proposing on the back door of those square windows? Is there any other areas that maybe that would be helpful on? We're really trying to, satisfy everyone. Just want to know what to do.
I would approve it in a minute if we could lower the emissions from those 4.
Well, I did propose that. That is proposed to be 30%.
I would
The
be
living
happy
room,
to do.
the living room floor, big things.
Right, that's just sort of the case. Right now, they propose it's only 38% light transmission. So they're pretty dark.
But they aren't shorter.
No, I don't want them shorter. I like it.
Okay.
I don't like any of these windows shorter. I like the house.
All right.
Sorry.
Okay. So there you have it.
Okay.
All right, keep fighting with it.
All right, thank you everyone for your time.
All right,
Thank you.
very good.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Yes. So move, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Thank you.
So we have a reunion next month.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
If I may suggest that, and it doesn't have to be in plans, sketches showing the changes will expedite the application.
Yes.
Okay, they can be sketches, they do not have to be plans.
Okay,
Thank
would it be helpful just for if we're doing a comparison like you requested, would you like to see the original or
original.
this card?
From here forward.
From here
from here
forward, just for the, okay, thank you for that.
Thank you.
John, are you comfortable with sketches?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. They eventually would have to be formal plans for the file.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm saying it's an addition, it has nothing to do with submission.
Okay,
Just for our facility.
Thank
very
you.
good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is 15 Jacobs Way. I'm ready for questions.
Thank you.
So this was adjourned. Yep, so stepping back to the February meeting, then we had asked you to reduce the number of windows in the staircase element, provide accurate night renderings, less windows on the second floor, with repositioning and layout, changing the layout of the driveway, and to provide renderings that include the light fixtures in the gutters. This is what I have down from the notes that were passed along from February. So if you would, go ahead.
Sure, and Will here, the architect for the homeowners is joining you by Zoom. I'm Ryan Sessa, attorney for the applicant. Just to touch briefly on that, and then turn it over to Will. We submitted a new survey. Mr. Martin had requested us to look at a different position of the driveway. The driveway is now a single curb cut. That was in the revised survey, which is farther away from the corner of Hedges and Jacobs. Still satisfying the parking requirement and everything else. I'm
asking her to put it up on the screen, please. I think we have it. There we are.
So we were here back in February, the driveway had two aprons, one consistent with what you're seeing now, and one that was existing that's closer to the corner of Jacobs and Hedges that has been removed, and the proposed driveway now leads a single curb cut further in on Jacobs Way. With respect to the renderings back up, it was re-rendered with night renderings. You can see from this rendering, if I can point out. Okay. This is for two purposes. Night rendering in this area here, the window package has been changed. We were here in February, this was proposed to be glass for the entire staircase. So we're using the percentages of glazing on all. That was changed. The middle window sections were removed and taken out of that. The percentages of glazing, the two sides, so the side that faces Hedges and the side that faces the neighbor to the north are both less than 10%. Mr. Minier can go into that in the front to rear. I shall have in front of me are 21% less.
20%, yeah.
For glazing on those two. That. Mr. Minier, if you wanted to add anything else with respect to the glazing on the windows.
If I could share my screen, I could put both renderings up and toggle back and forth just to show you some of the other differences. We did on the first floor reduce the head height of all of the windows in the first floor from 9.6 to 9 foot, essentially eliminating 6 inches of glazing around the house on the first floor. And on the rear,
Excuse me,
we did,
able to share your screen.
okay. So if you're seeing the renderings, this is the proposed rendering, and I can toggle quickly. The existing rendering, you'll see the driveway in front. If I could point out the tops of all these windows, is this proposed? This was the original. You'll see they're all taller, and the window at the stair tower is now eliminated. And I can do this for the other elevation. This was the existing. This is proposed. We're down just under 21%. We rounded up to 21% glazing on the front. The night rendering. See, there's less light, less windows at the heads, like I mentioned. The rear, just to point out, there are panels on the rear, so all these weren't
It's
glazing.
beautiful travertine. It's a
Uh,
little thicker, but you can do 42 inches and then like 30 something.
Hello?
I'd ask Hector.
Please mute yourself if you're not speaking.
And so then this one window on the rear facing the back, one is a panel, just to be clear, and we did reduce the height of this window 6 inches. And you'll see across the whole back, second floor, all these doors are 6 inches less in height. As far as lighting goes, lighting is going to be down lights under all the covered porch areas, so there will be no sconces on there. And I guess I missed the gutters. We're not showing gutters. I apologize. I think we addressed most points that were brought up.
So just to clarify, you had mentioned the stairwell is not a full panel of glass, which is presented. The renderings in our packet still show 4 windows, 2 on the second floor, 2 on the.
It's one panel each, which just had the divided light. If you look at the
Okay.
staircase on those staircase
Yep.
windows.
Mhm.
Yes,
And are those, they seem to be less brilliant? Is that a treated glass?
it is not a treated glass.
It's not a
Just
treated glass,
just
it's
less.
just the,
They were lifted up from the ground, because it went to the ground last time at the top, so they were both came down, and eliminated the
okay,
middle section,
This
and
middle
then
section
moved
is-
those a little closer, but
Yeah.
the amount of glass volume there is
very good. Thank you for clarification.
Tom, what's the difference in the light admission in this house compared to the one we just saw? Is there any way to figure that out? Because this looks very similar to you. Only
Those
the
were,
windows are higher up.
these are high, these are lifted the windows and reduced the heights,
Mhm.
and they're smaller windows. Percentage wise, just listening, we were, I think their lowest was 27, or they were 31, 37, or on our most, we're at 21. Aside
So
from,
they're
I
at what, 37 and you're at 21, is that the thing?
think they were 32 maybe, and we're at 21 on our highest.
The setting is different.
Yeah.
I know
This
that.
is on a corner with,
But he's got,
And it's
it's the
not.
same thing with the 4 big windows and all that stuff, I know.
They don't hit the floor, right? We have space on the bottom and on the top.
Our sills are about 2 feet off the floor.
They are, thank you. Thank you.
now the big picture windows in the back go pretty far down.
I know.
Those are sliders.
Huh?
Those are sliders that you're looking at.
Those are sliders?
Yes,
Yeah.
we reduced the height on the sliders to do a reduction, that's the bottom, we don't want to too high of a step.
And all 3 of these are sliders?
Yes.
On the first floor, on the back.
That, yes.
Can we go to that picture just for clarification?
Will's got the screen.
Will, could you show us that on the screen?
Sure. Let me share my screen again.
Rear elevation, please, Will.
So this is the new rear. These are 9-foot doors. This is a slider. This is a slider. This is a slider. Compared to the previous version, you'll see they were just reduced by 6 inches across the back. And then again, point out this window is also reduced by 6 inches.
Thank you. Okay, Megan, any thoughts?
Oh, I think there isn't a drastic difference here. I appreciate the efforts. I don't really have, I mean, it's a beautiful house, so I don't have any objections that way. I just think that the progress made was a little bit. And I'm thinking about it right now.
Nick, any thoughts?
I'm sorry, Tom, did you say Nick?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not a big change, but it seems somewhat within our guidelines. I'd possibly like to see less of the white tone. I'm wondering if there was any thoughts of a different, more muted color.
For the white?
Mhm.
Do you,
I don't have an answer to that.
what's that?
I don't have an answer to that.
Okay.
Will, I don't know if you do.
Oftentimes we do a dove white, but
But I'm wondering maybe a bit of an actual tone, like a historic color or something. Wasn't quite right.
but we've in the past discouraged brilliant white. That's just so.
Yeah, bold. I would just note that in terms of generally 21% seems in line, or 10% of the sites in line with what this board does. And to the comments of the board earlier, we knew that going in, it didn't start at 35. So our reduction from 22 down to less than 20 on some, or 21, is significant in that we didn't start high. We could have started at 35 and then showed you 21, and that wasn't the intent here. The intent here was to design what we're looking to do.
Ryan, if I can just ask though, would you consider doing a tone, like a muted tonal color on the trim rather than the white?
I'll absolutely speak to the homeowners about that. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, white was the intention. I mean, an off-white or not a bright white, definitely.
Mhm.
An actual tone to it, yeah, that'd have to go back to the homeowners on that one.
It just seems like it might make it a bit more unique and maybe a bit more muted. But anyway, that's my only comment.
Thank you.
Robert?
I just want to thank Will for having the comparison pictures. It's so easy to understand what he was doing, and it's much appreciated, and the effort of making that available. I think that within the constraints that we have and the year of 2022, I think that they've done what they had to do.
Thank you.
As far as what you're doing landscaping wise and so forth, are these relatively accurate to suggest what's existing or what you're working with? Or
So the perimeter is.
I want to like race out there and go to this fucking meeting.
The rendering is not, it's hard to render what's existing, but if you drive by the site, the photos we submitted, the existing perimeter screening is remaining. And we're going to plan further on the inside for especially trees are already, the perimeter screening is going to remain. It's significant and substantial at this time. It's not the trees that are in the rendering, but to put those into the rendering, we put in the application.
I understand.
Existing one.
Yeah. Okay, having covered some of those questions that were in my mind, are there any other questions from the board? Would anybody like to make a motion to shift this to committee of two for a decision on the trim color?
That I can certainly do.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please state your name and a yes.
Megan, aye.
Robert, aye.
Fingering eye.
Tom, aye. Nick?
I think he was muted.
Nick, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Thank
Not
you.
evening. Use of the later one.
I hope it's not bad.
I hope that's not a permanent issue. Have a good day.
Very good.
Thank you all.
Next up is 544 Hickory Lane. Last month, the board made a site visit to this, and I believe most everyone was able to get there. This is to in perspective of changing exterior windows that face the street, as well as a significant change in the amount of glazing on the back of the house. Back of the house, there are pictures in the file allowing the board to see that there are not too many plantings that contain light emission coming from the back of the house. And so last month we worked on that with the applicant and came up with a couple ideas, and we were going to look at it further today.
Chris Cantello
Okay, thank you.
came up for this one. Andrew was gonna share the screen. So, thanks for having me. So we really focused our efforts on the issue with the back of the house. So we had, now that we've identified the exact lights that we're using on the house, and we put that in with the exact photometrics, we had a light study done for that as well. So the lights that you're seeing are exactly what's going to be in the house in the great room. We did a photometric study to see what light pollution is coming out from the house and plans. You can see that as well. If we just advance to slide 7. Yeah, so you can see, maybe zoom in on that, Drew. I don't know if the board can see that, but effectively by the time you get out, we're almost at 0 foot candles emanating from the house. We go to the next slide. So the 2 black and whites were from our lighting consultant, and then the one on the right was our color rendering using the same photometrics. Gives you a sense for what the light quality is going to be coming out. The big move obviously is that we included the existing barn doors on the house. So effectively reducing the light output by 1/3 of what we were proposing previously. Go to the next slide.
Do we have those in our package?
Those are the first slides. So what I thought was helpful was to do a rendering from the back of the property. Obviously, it's always a question of what's the neighbor's going to see. Obviously, this is a large parcel. It's a 5-acre site. So this view, and there's a pond on the site as well. So this is right at the back of the pond. So we did 4 renderings. Obviously, as we mentioned previously, the existing tree is going to stay. The owner has no desire to take that tree down. But we've shown it with and without the tree as per the board's direction. So this is the views during the day, and then the views at night with tree and without tree. Maybe Drew, just zoom in on that a little bit more. So that's the effective view at night from the back of the property. Once again, as the board knows, there's evergreen screening around the property. Yeah, very sure. Go ahead, Drew, maybe just flip to the next slide. And then so we carried that through on the updated renderings. That's why we sent it to the updated renderings with the updated visuals. So once again, with the tree that's going to remain, and then if the tree ever comes down, that's what the view.
Right. Are there, in some of the photographs, there was like a square figure in the middle of one of the back windows on the second floor? Is that just something I was seeing? You see those little squares?
Those are the front windows you're seeing through.
Ah, okay.
You're seeing through the house because
I thought you were going stained glass or something, and I'm getting real excited.
So you're seeing,
Okay.
yeah, you're seeing the front door and then the window.
I see. Very good. Thank you.
And that's effectively the changes from the last meeting. We thought it was important to put real numbers to the light quality, the real numbers to the fixtures. And,
Yeah.
come back.
One idea that popped into my head is that is as those doors deteriorate and age, is there an intent to maintain them? Should there be a caveat in the approval that those need to stay up? Or if they were to disintegrate, you'd end up taking them down later and we'd be back to our quandary?
I think the client will be fine with it. I mean, they're original to the
To the
to the
nature of
house.
the building.
Right, so.
When I was very young, I think I visited this and there were some horses and some hay upstairs, but that's been a while.
But some time ago, I suspect.
I think it was
Four,
yesterday.
five.
It must have just been yesterday.
So that's the thrust of what we brought today.
Very good.
Could I just say, because I wasn't here last month, what it looks like when the doors are closed?
Well,
Did those doors
they
close?
did completely
Yeah.
close on the originals.
Right, I'm just wondering, what are they
Situation.
doing now? Just,
They're hung there to decrease the emission, but
They're maintaining the interior glass view from the inside, even though there's no external vision, because they're blocked. In other words, so that the feeling tone inside the home is this very open feeling tone, even though some of the windows
Client is very much about symmetry once you're in that big space.
what,
this is what this is now,
right,
right? And these doors could go over and you'd have a full open panel.
uh-huh,
The proposal is to duplicate that open panel both sides. So now you're coming out to here with glass.
okay,
And these doors would be spread apart, obscuring some of that light
All right.
emission.
so there'll always be light coming out of the middle then.
Correct.
Even when this is closed.
Unless he decides to move them over.
Okay,
Yeah, there's always gonna be that level of light. If the
Always.
doors shift, we'll just cover up whatever that next
Okay.
panel is gonna be. So
Huh.
there'll never be more than that much light.
Okay. Any further questions or observations from the board? Megan? No? Nick?
No, very clear. Thank you.
Robert?
what we expected, I believe.
Okay. So, Henry, are you settled?
yeah,
Okay. So if we make a motion for approval with a caveat that the exterior barn doors would remain and be maintained on the back of the building, is that something that the board is willing to request?
yes,
Just a question for council. We're not going to ask for a bond or anything in terms of that. It's just, so it's how binding it is based on whether or not they will comply. Because in other words, we can actually sue them, I guess, but it's not something we're asking for a bond on.
No, we're making it part of the plan. So the part of the approval requires that the doors be fastened and maintained. The structure. That's, yeah.
Thank you.
Is there a motion for such?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor, name and yes?
Megan says yes.
Nick says yes.
Robert, yes.
Henry, yes.
Yes. Very good. Thank you all
Thanks,
very
guys.
much for your. Next is new business for MT 565.
We have I'm bringing home a sketch because I think it's an intriguing piece of property. I'm really good at that. I hide things amazingly.
Yes, that was an extra. I don't think it was a. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
I don't think we can accept them since we're just getting them.
Okay, I haven't changed the date on this, as it was filled out in error. Okay, this is the second structure back from Daniel's Lane. Is that right? Is that correct?
So yes,
Okay, and this house was under some work that we looked at last year for some reshingling and front door changes, which went to committee of two, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. And now they're looking at having gates on this circular driveway, which is relatively shallow in this setting, along the flag lot, or flag drive, I should say. There's about 10 houses on this. And Britain, yes?
I'm Susana Silonte. I'm the principal at Tango and Co. Britton is not here, and Bree is the head architect in the project.
Okay,
We both will be names.
very good.
I'm sorry, tell me your name again.
Susana Silonte. I can spell it for you. It's a long one. Yeah, these clients purchased this property, and they apologize for not being here today, but they have little kids and Bree and schools and stuff, they couldn't make it. But we've been doing quite a bit of work in the property, and really it wasn't in the best condition when we purchased it. So it's been about reestablishing it and bringing it to the best possible outcome. So we reshingle and re-roof, and the house is looking fantastic now, but it's time to deal with the fencing. And so this is sort of our wish list on the property. So we can have a conversation with you about what you want to see and what you would rather not. Yeah. I believe on the docket for today was mostly to discuss the front fencing or the front gates of the property, so I don't know if that's what
Some
you guys.
driveway gates specifically, I think, but where are they with the other fencing?
The other fencing, as far as I know, is in compliance.
Very good. So it's just a gates placement appearance.
So then for the front gates, what we were planning to do is we go to page. I think it's the last page that we have. That basically shows you what we were hoping to do. And we had some, after speaking with Ronald Webb, who's our builder, and then Brigham, they kind of gave us some guidance on what you would rather see, and this is where this came from. However, we're very happy to fine tune based on your recommendations. Ultimately, what the client wants is to have the best possible outcome for the home, but we also want to make sure that it's in keeping with what makes the town feel comfortable. So we're here to sort of work with you on it.
Okay, I'm just a little confused. Do we have a picture of the placement on this? Because isn't this on the private road?
Yes, it is. So you
Okay.
don't see it from Daniel's Lane.
We want to put gates on a private road. Okay. Okay.
Is there a homeowner association on the road?
I believe not.
Yeah, I know. You see, this is a private.
I know it is, yeah, way down, see, they're way down.
Is it
there.
private road or is it public road? John?
It's a private road. It's actually started out as flag strips, which got combined to one
One
access for all the lots.
Well, lots.
So it was born flag strips, these are not flag strips. That's what they are.
Is there an HOA? The main paint the road now.
I don't know. It's probably a private agreement between the owners of the lots.
But the gates are on their property, not on the private land.
I realize that. It's just that you're asking for gates. So
On the
you
road,
can,
it's already
on
private.
the private road. And I guess my question is, why?
We were told we had to, so that's what we're doing, but
By whom?
essentially, I think when we submitted it.
I think the homeowner is concerned about privacy.
Yeah, but what you're saying is we didn't have to go through you for this?
No,
Oh.
I just want to know why you would ask, anyone would ask on a private road
Oh, what
that is
my
well
husband
off of
said?
Daniels. So you want to be able to walk down the road so you can go to the beach, which is locked, so other people can't get in. Okay, and you need gates.
It's the reason is for the kids. I think.
Yeah, it's not so much for
It's to keep the
privacy.
kids in the property.
Yeah, they
Put a
have three.
strap on them.
Oh,
They
yeah.
got 250 feet before they can get to a real passageway.
No, this is very close to the front yard.
It's close to Daniels. No, it's not close to
No,
Daniels.
I'm saying the driveway is very close to the house.
I
The
understand.
access road, yes.
Yeah, okay, I live,
No, I know.
right there, and if there are 3 cars a day going up and down that access road, that's a lot.
I think they were just thinking for pets and for their children. Their youngest is 3 years old, so at that age, it's kind of hard to tell them
Yeah.
to get them to do what you want them to do. So that was really the logic behind it. But
Esplanade 55392, 2361, 61st Street. I wasn't let out of my house when I was 2.5 years old unless I knew my address and phone number. Okay, this is a private road, okay. You have to consider it, but I'm just absolutely blown away that this is.
There are about 15 houses on this, and probably 3 to 4 of them are under construction now.
You know what, I understand,
So I
sure.
think it's a safety issue, and
Yeah,
then
okay.
we are in the village. So,
I agree with you, Robert.
I'm so sorry.
So, getting back to the design,
We have all these children now who can't be controlled.
It's
All
just
over
sort
the
of
place.
stunning.
Skates from children. They can't keep them where they want them.
Okay, and based on our gates, a 3-year-old could climb over it.
Of course, and would try.
so if we look at the last page,
We have to resign.
the posts are 5 feet 10 inches. Is that a 2-foot square post? Is that
Yes.
correct? Okay. Yeah. Gate opacity is 50%. It is 18 feet across, which I think is accommodating emergency vehicles, etc. And according to the survey, how far along the line are these to accommodate for a pull box?
Repeat the question, please.
I'm sorry?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Gates usually require a pull box from which to push in the code to open the gates. So where would that be set? And that needs to be a certain distance in off of the street. Is that correct, John? Or do we have no oversight on this because it's a private road? I would think that we still have to accommodate the fact that a delivery truck or something has to get off the private road so that it's not blocking emergency traffic on the driveway, shared driveway. So that's my thought.
It's a reasonable accommodation, but it is a private road or a flag lot. It's not the village verge and main thoroughfare that we're protecting.
Right. I've been on the road now 3 or 4 times looking at houses, and there is a fair amount of traffic up and down it.
So the answer is we don't have it on the drawings, so we can put it anywhere technically. So if we,
Well, it has to be a certain number of feet in off the driveway so that you can get the truck in. So that's where I'm questioning. And then also where the gate's going on in the front yard. Okay,
we'll set back up the gates we have.
okay. Is that, what page are you looking at for that? Is that on AHRB 1E?
I don't think we have the setback officially called out in set.
Okay, there's a picture of them on 1E.
We did whatever was required, which. Yeah, so we accommodated for 20.
So I don't see a call box on here and I don't see a measurement of the depth off of the street. Is that correct?
Yeah, but these are drawn in, we did them at 20 feet setback from the street.
20
It's not currently shown, but we can definitely.
Yeah, we have to have something actually. Yeah.
Are there fences on either sides of the driveway at the gate?
Could you go back to the picture that I sent in? So presently there is privet, kind of a little bit scraggly looking privet, but that's what exists. Is there a structured fence along that privet? I do not
There
believe
is
there
not,
is now.
yeah, and we're proposing to add just deer fencing. Essentially,
Okay, and the height of that is,
we followed out at 4 feet, yeah.
yeah, okay, compliant, yes? Okay, all right, very good. So getting back to the design, now that we know a little bit about the place.
John, just to refresh my recollection, okay, if this was on a main access road, how many feet back? We have a specific statement on that.
Well, all the equipment would have to be on their property. But the requirement would be a minimum 25-foot distance from edge of pavement to where your gate is, so you could accommodate an escalator. But sometimes the verge is very big, so you can have a call box much closer to the front property line. Sometimes it's farther than the verge, so that call box and gate would be, 8-10 feet more into the property. It is very dependent upon the verge and the piece of property.
Thank you, sir.
For the moment, let's just go over the design, because I think if I understand this correctly, the last page is what you're proposing, the page before is a little confusing.
The page prior to that, well, the page before shows the entry gate at the beginning, but then we enlarge it on the next page, and then the rest, what you're seeing is the pool gates.
Ah, okay.
So those are,
beyond my.
Is that what you're trying to tell me, is the pool gate reference?
we were trying to give you some context of what it looks like now versus what we're doing, which is we showed it and printed it to make it a little bit more helpful. So if you want, we can.
Yeah, technically, the board needs to have that at a time too, but you want it for the sake of clarity now?
Does it have to do with the
The
driveway
pool
gate?
gate,
It doesn't really have to do with the.
I don't think they're
which is
related.
what you're looking at.
This is the pool gate, this is the driveway gate.
Right, and the
Right.
pool gate you have.
Only the driveway gate is under review.
Yeah, the driveway gate is on. All right, so. What page are you on there? 1D?
10.
That's right here.
10.
That's 1D. Okay. Yeah, can we go to 1D
I knew that.
for perspective? Zoom in. And the idea would be to take down the privet because these plantings are very different.
No. We are, the property, wherever there was privet, it's going to be reestablished or try to make it look better. It's
Okay.
not in the best condition.
Improved, right?
Yes.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah. We were just doing this so that you could see what was planned.
Yep, okay, thank you. All right, so thoughts on the design and then any comments on the perceived necessity of this? Yes, Megan?
I apologize, but I'm not in favor of gates here. I think it's not that it's an unsafe street, it's a flag lot. And I think if you're trying to protect for animals and deer, you can get those metal poles at the driveway entry so the deer don't come in and maybe the animals and the kids will be deterred by that. But I don't think this warrants gates, unfortunately.
I would agree with that, with those comments. Nick Martin.
I go further, based on community standards, I don't see why our whole concept is to say we want to preserve our community. This literally violates everything about community. It's on a private area. There is no reason for there to be gates on this.
There's a very large fenced in area in the rear of the house. and I believe it's sufficient, given its private street nature, to protect the children.
I just don't know if we can say no, but I'm going to abstain from voting on this because I think it flies in the face of our desire to maintain a feeling community in our area. Is that you bought on a private road, okay, a gorgeous location, forgetting about what the house maintained or not. And to say, and what's really quite interesting is 3-year-olds turn into 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds quite quickly, but the gates will be there forever. And I'm just trying to remember how many of the homes on that road have a gate. And I walked it because they yelled at me, but they're not many.
Yeah.
And I do understand that you have gardeners and stuff like that on the street, but it is private. It's about as private as you can get. You bought privacy by buying what you bought. Not real trouble. I actually would be asking our representatives to go back to their owners to say, do you really want these? Do you really want them? For what purpose?
Okay, angry?
I think people, gates have just become so trendy. People are putting them up everywhere. And what is the point of having this nice house, this nice backyard at the end of a private road already, and the road is almost a mile long, private road?
Well, they're
It's
close to the street.
They're the second.
They're the second.
It's the second house in here. It's about
Still.
150 feet in.
I see no reason except that it's a fashion accessory. Thank you.
Okay. What is your suggestion, John? Do you foresee some reasoning for a total denial, or do you feel that we should ask the applicant to go back and just
I'm sorry,
address
it's
the
completely
clause?
up to the board as to how.
Right.
It's not- it's not-
To advise the applicant.
That's
And
what I
and
thought.
Tom, my feeling is that right at the moment, we'd be requesting an adjournment for them to review their position on the gates. And we're not commenting on what they have presented to us in terms of look, distance, et cetera.
Okay.
They're just on a position and we'd be happy to. look
I
at
think
it.
if our biggest urgency with the project right now is the safety of the back fences, which obviously
Okay.
have to go in as soon as possible, and the tenants, which I think is compliant. So we can go back and speak to them. I also think that cattle guard would be a good solution for at least a deer part. So I could see that being a solution.
Yeah, most of our gates don't do anything for deer. to be
Yeah,
honest.
exactly, because they're so low anyway.
Yes.
Susanna, would you want to put columns in to maybe demarc where the cattle guard goes?
Is that something that would
I
be
don't think it's
approved?
necessary. Okay, the distance back, I'm
Well-
sorry, John, if you were putting in cattle rods, okay, is there a distance obligation?
On their
for-
property, that's it.
Just on the property?
Yeah.
So it's really quite straightforward.
No, I was saying just put some columns in, they might visually, they might want to see columns.
We'd be happy to look at that presentation. Okay, but I would suggest that we.
Okay, very good.
The board reviews columns.
What's that?
I don't think the board reviews columns.
Well,
Unless the
that.
code
No,
changes.
the code actually does refer to gates and gate posts.
Okay, yes, okay. Okay.
So I have a question in terms of logistics. The other items that have been approved are approved, and this goes back to.
Yeah, you're not here for approval for your other fencing and pool gates or anything else like that.
Okay.
As long as they're 6 feet around, you're already on the permit or as of right.
And cattle guard.
Cattle guard is not something that the ARB would review.
Okay, so we'll adjourn.
Yes, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Megan, I.
Okay,
Thank you for your time.
thank you. Oh, no, that's my attention. Okay, next thing is a new item before the board, 44 Greenleaf Lane LLC. And Mayron is presenting this and he is online on the Zoom, I believe. He's the owner. Okay, very
It's down.
good. Okay, Mayron, are you with us? I don't see him.
Hi, guys. It's Josh Guberman and Megan Guberman, the homeowners. I wasn't sure about Mayron's availability. I'm a builder and developer, and I'd be happy to walk you through this and take any questions and review anything you need to. This is our personal home.
Mayron's on.
He
Mayron is on.
he is on. Okay, thank you. Okay, so just as a perspective, I did go by the property this morning and take some pictures. And if we could take a look at those. This is this morning's pictures of, some of us have been to the trustee's home. This was where Joy Seeger lived. And these other photographs are photographs from a few years ago. I think it's 8 years ago. So the appearance of the parcel has changed quite a bit. But Josh, if Mayron's not with us, can you just go through some of the thoughts here and the packet? Did something come in today for the packet?
It did, it's the rendering of the back.
Okay, so we do have a deadline for submission information, and so some of that might translate into.
This is the one that just came this morning.
Okay, so these are the new things that you're seeing on the screen that were also recently received. So we may, it might be interesting for the board. Huh? Oh, okay, it's another separate picture. Okay. So some of you might not.
If you'd like me to screen share, I can show you the updated photos, if that would be helpful, but I can just kind of walk you through.
Okay. I think Josh just fell out of the meeting.
Is Mayron here?
Is here. I asked you to share, but he hasn't. Yeah, and I asked.
So basically,
I
this
have you
is,
back, right?
okay. Josh is back.
I excuse myself. I just got a note from my wife that I have to get out of here. Either we have enough people to vote with Nick on it. So
Yes, but Megan had to get out at 1:30. I think. Is Megan still with us?
Yes.
Okay.
just, is it the three?
I can, Tom, I can definitely stay. I canceled that meeting.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
I so apologize.
That's fine. Go ahead. Okay, so officially speaking, we're with 4 board members now. Josh, you want to go carry on with that?
Yeah, first of all, thanks, guys. I know these are arduous and difficult always. I really, Megan and I, Megan,
Hi.
I really appreciate the time and energy you guys put in it. So we bought the Seegers house, and I'm a designer and builder and developer, and I was kind of struggling always with the lack of symmetry, windows in odd places, openings in places. So what we really just tried to do is simplify the home, and we're adding only 12 feet, a print of 12 extension of the garage and a reworking of the entrance facade, but we're not expanding the house other than that or doing anything substantively. So the big thing that's different is that we're extending that garage to a second story addition, and we're getting rid of the old asphalt shingles and replacing them with a simple metal roof, which we think is kind of in keeping with what we've been seeing. And just creating symmetry on the chimney elevation, 3 clean windows instead of 1. And then we're removing 1 extra gable. And we're resetting the gable over what is now the bay window and trying to do kind of a little bit more symmetry. So we're going to end up with a small gable and then gables on either side with the metal roof. And I think we're just cleaning up the shingles right now. They're kind of a muddy color, and we're just going to make them a crisp white. And then we're just going to have the windows be black, because that seems to be what we looked at a lot of houses in Sagaponic. That's what people are doing. So, the only facet of this is that to introduce the house, the rear of the property is a buffer. So we don't have any neighbors there. And then to the right of the property, to the east of the property, is also a buffer. So we don't have any neighbors there. We only really have 1 neighbor, which is directly in front of our house. If you were standing with your back to the front door, lovely people. So there's not a lot of impact that this change would have. And we hopefully feel that it would be a helpful and positive change to try to get this house a little bit more in order, because that's how I like to design. And I think that's it. I'm open to fielding any questions you have. Oh, hold on 1 second, guys. Can you guys hear us?
Yes.
Okay, good. Sorry. We were just worried.
Okay, my initial perspective as I went down the road on this was that pretty much every house on the street, and even those with off the spider legs of the cul-de-sac at the end, are relatively hidden. And it's a perspective of a quiet, non in your face kind of a setting. And with all the plantings removed from the yard as it is now, this kind of is a significant visual mass compared to what it was before. Your proposal, Josh, is to paint the existing shingles, is that right? Or are you doing the siding over with something that's a white material?
We're gonna restore and add whatever shingles, but I wanted to just address that one question you had. We've been working with Jonathan Davis, he's our landscape architect. So there's a whole landscaping plan. We've got 14-foot arborvitaes that are going to follow the entire run of Greenleaf. So other than the 2 entrance, we spoke a lot about, you guys were speaking a lot about entrance gates, but other than those 2 entrance points, the house is actually completely hidden. And then on the east face, there's nothing, no one could see the house because it's all woods. On the north side, nobody could see the house because it's the buffer. And then on the west, there's a 20-foot hedge of privet that blocks our neighbor to the west from seeing the house. So our plan was to keep this very tucked in and sort of in rhythm with what we see on the cul-de-sac, which is to kind of, downplay the mass of the house and just have nice tall evergreens. So year round, we're not kind of presenting a big presence there. That was the plan from Jonathan.
Okay. And you said the roof was black, is that correct?
Right now, it's like the old shingle, mid-island shingle roof that's a little in disrepair. So we're going to put a black, we're going to put a gray metal roof there on that front elevation. So instead of seeing the shingles, that's what you're going to see. And then we're just going to do board and batten because the shingles on the front are a little bit suspect, and we're probably gonna have to rip out many of them. And we thought a nice, clean board and batten design. Again, we've been trying to take from what we're seeing in the neighborhood, and then just a front door with 2 side lights and 2 medium-sized sconces, and that's just going to clean the whole front. And as I said, we'll be layering this with deciduous trees, and then we'll be enclosing the entire area other than the 2 driveways with those tall arborvitaes that we're buying locally.
What about
Okay.
the shingles? What do we say?
I'm sorry,
Is it white, the board and batten?
the board and batten are here.
Yeah.
And
What about the shingles?
this
They're
is
gonna be painted white?
the other shingles. It sounds like you were going to clean up the new front of the house where the extension is being made. That material for the minutes
Yes.
is made out of what?
That's going to be conventional cedar shingles on that front facade.
Yes.
And then just to address some of the large window issues that I know are very important to the board. So that first floor is a kind of a faux window because there will never be visibility from that. It's the garage. So that'll be probably just cleaned up and not be visible. And then the upstairs is really the only new glass we're adding, except for the symmetry that you see on the side of the house that's not shown in this elevation. So we added all these windows that are proportioned, would be the other side.
Okay.
I have to confess, I did not make a site visit. I'm familiar with the house because we looked at it also when it was for sale. It's a wonderful house. But some of these drawings have the so stark, a big black roof and then a white building. Is that how it's gonna look?
No, it's a soft gray. The renderings sometimes are not as helpful as we would like. So these are the old renderings we did. It's going to be sort of a light to medium gray, not black. And it's going to be a much softer feel than the black shingles that are currently there now.
I would like to see some examples.
Yeah,
Before we go.
yeah, some of the renderings look a little bit like it's almost brick,
Mhm.
which is, I know what you,
Right, so the renderings, forgive me, a board. Renderings. Render for you can dispose of that's not really exactly what
your audio is very broken up and it's not.
hold on. Okay, hold on. Okay. You see anything here?
Is that better? Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, good. So what it is now, the house, like a natural wood side shingle with very dark black roof. We actually wanted to soften it and make it the roof not so dark, make it more of like a lighter charcoal and just clean up the shingles because the shingles are damaged in a lot of areas of the house. There's been no work done to this house in many, many years.
Right, yeah.
And it's not to be and black. That's not what I had. Yeah.
We picked out a dove gray for the metal roof. So yeah, sometimes the rendering's a little tricky, but the renderings that you were showing at the outset, those are the final renderings representative of what we're doing. These are kind of the first phase of renderings that we were able to get better renders to do them. So these are less representative of, yeah.
What I think I'm gonna ask is for some samples for next month.
Sure.
Also, I'm gonna encourage the board members to do a site visit on the street.
Yes.
The west side of the house, the second story, has how many windows on it? It appears to have about 5, 6, 7, 8. Is that accurate?
1 second. One side has 6 evenly spaced windows, and the other side has 3 existing windows and 4 new windows for the bedrooms.
All right. Nick, do you have any questions that would be helpful to have them on the list of things that we're concerned about?
Yeah, I'd like to see kind of a before and after if possible, so that we could get
I
a
have
better.
that now, if you'd like
I'll
to
make
see it.
I wasn't able to make it to the site either. I can go later today or tomorrow, but I think that would be important. And I would also ask if there would possibly be another tone other than white that would be considered.
Why can't we have white? Everybody seems to have white nowadays.
Yeah, we have all the houses around us are white. If you go back to the train tracks, all of the houses around Wolfar are beautiful white barns with black roofs.
Yeah, this entire, because we're north of the highway on a dead end. I don't know if we mentioned that. And the houses that are on narrow lane, anything that's been built in the
There's
last
actually
15
three
years.
beautiful new white houses.
Yeah,
there.
they're all white. I guess you would have approved them, right? So
I think
they're
that's
all
part
white.
of the issue for me is that they're all white.
When I built my house, maybe 5 years ago, I was told I couldn't even have very much white trim, and my house is all natural shingle. I couldn't even have a
Right,
white
and
cupola.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And the more important thing is that with our old growth arborvitae's up, actually no one's really gonna be able to see our home. So I'm not so sure how much it will impact it. And as I said, on the west side, there's a wall of very, very tall privet. So I have some before pictures, like the current pictures, if you want to just chat about them for a moment or two, happy to do that.
I think really the
it'd
presentation
be
needs to
very
have them together as a package. So why would I ask it to be natural or another tone is if, let's say that you have 6 houses and 5 of them are all the same tone. To me, that's a suburban type of look and something that we're hoping to change. And it's a vernacular area that's of a farm style. Initially in the beginning portions of Sagaponic. So we're always looking for variety, and obviously white stands out quite a bit more. So that's why I was inquiring.
I wanted to address that. So there's 6 houses on our street. Not one of them is white. So if we were looking for diversity, we wouldn't want to do any sort of earth tone on the shingles. We would want to be white if we wanted to get some variety and dissimilar looks on our street. So I think that would be very helpful.
Because I thought the earlier comments were that there's many
No.
white houses in
narrow lane, way in back of us,
Right.
down the street towards Wolfer. But there's no white houses on our street.
Not on our cul-de-sac.
And we thought it would be a nice, to your point, it would be a nice thing to not be like everyone else's house. And given that we're providing evergreen protection for most of the property, I thought it was a really nice way to go because it looks nice and it's so dissimilar from every other house on our street.
Okay.
Those are my only comments. Thank you.
We'll take a look at that as we do that site visit. Megan, any thoughts?
I had a question about the tennis court in the sort of front side yard, wondering, just because I haven't seen that so close to the front, usually they're in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's 100 feet from the street, I believe, 90 or 100 feet, like 30 yards. We have a very massive front lawn, almost an acre. So that was just tucked in. And then we made that long driveway. So we made sure to keep that very, very far from Greenleaf. And since it's sunken, there's very little that you'd see of it anyway, particularly from Greenleaf.
And with the trees.
And with the trees, you won't see anything. So I think that's going to be too much of a challenge. Very far off the street.
Pickleball court, that tennis court?
Forgive me, I'm sorry?
Would that also be a pickleboard court, that tennis court?
No, ma'am. No, just tennis.
Has it already started being built, the court?
Yes.
The court was approved, yeah. The court was not an ARB decision. John helped us with all the exterior improvements of the property.
Okay, well then that's
Can
fine.
you zoom in on that measurement?
That's fine.
Okay.
If that was,
Does anybody have any thoughts on the driveway roundabout in the front yard? As the front yard?
Yeah. That is.
Usually we are opposed to people parking in the front yard.
Yeah. Yeah, again, I think the scale and the size of things will become clearer with that site visit.
Yes, indeed.
And I'm trying to read that, but I can't. That's it. Well, that says the existing driveway to be removed to the barn, yes. Okay,
Yeah, we're trying to clean up the whole property and get sod down there. And prune the
tennis
landscape.
court is 70 feet from the street.
And it's, I think, 100 on the other, 110 on the other, 110 on one side and 71 on the other,
Yeah. Mhm.
because it's like a triangle. My wife Megan, I'm sorry, Megan. My wife is also Megan. I think you had a question or you wanted to make a comment?
No, not right now. I guess my question is, it seems like everything is okay except for the colors of the house. Am I correct in saying that? You want to see samples for the color?
I'm not in love with the driveway because people tend to park right in front of the yard. So I think it's just kind of detracts from the architecture. So that's my, and I also wanted to ask about the red brick chimney is the only thing that otherwise seems to kind of stand out and doesn't really flow with the rest of the house.
Happy to paint white. I just wanted to make the point, Megan, that we're not an architectural team coming in here and saying, this is what we want. We're actually very fluid on this. And I think I love painted white brick. I'd be happy to paint the brick white. We're happy to actually make, the big thing for us is to have some diversity on the street. All the houses kind of look the same with the weathered shingles. So the white with the arborvitaes was kind of what we thought would be a nice diversity. And also adding a little of the board and batten so that texturally it's a little different. And the driveway, we actually redid the driveway. We had a horseshoe driveway and John appropriately stated that we could not have a connected U-shaped driveway. So our main driveway is to the west. So we have a massive driveway with 5 parking spots and 4 garage spaces. So that's really where we ask people to come in. This is more of a decorative thing because there's a beautiful, massive copper beech in the center of that. So it's as much as architectural detail visually to frame that tree as it is a driveway, because we recommend that people always come up the west driveway where we have a ton of room there and we don't want our front blocked. So we're with you on that. But, it's again, architecturally, from what we work with Jonathan Davis on, it felt like a really nice place to showcase that, 40-year-old beauty. The nicest tree on the property, and that was kind of where we got to that. And I think Megan had a question.
I just want to say to the board that we're the personal homeowners. This is our personal home. We're not just summer people. We are here all the time. In fact, had we done this before COVID, we probably would have made the choice to stay here instead of the city. And when we found this home, we saw such great potential, and we really fell in love with the heart and soul of it. The family that was there before, which you all know. We really love this home, and our goal is to spend many years here and make it our own. So I don't know if that even matters. I know, but we are part of this community. We're not just here 2 months a year. We're not in to try to sell. We're really trying to make positive changes that fit our family and stay in line with the village. I just wanted you to hear that from me.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so the big, and by the way, John and Pat, everyone has been amazing in terms of helping us and facilitating us getting on the April agenda. The big thing for us is that we're trying to get our home ready for the summer to the extent that it can be. So John was very helpful in terms of getting us set up for the exterior approvals. And now we're going to Suffolk County with the revised nitrogen septic system. So we're really trying to get this done, and we don't mind changing anything, because it sounds like everything you're asking is for, it's just aesthetics. Like it would be the last thing we would do would be to spray the shingles. So structurally, I was more interested in that. Is there anything that you're averse to with cleaning up that front facade and shifting over the front door and the little changes we're making, I want to make sure that we're in accord with just that, because that's what's going to hold up the whole project, not the colors or the aesthetics or the roof or anything like that.
Yeah,
Because we're trying to actually,
I think once we have the site visit, that will help us with making sure that we're not missing anything.
Things will fall together with it.
I sense that there is some feeling about the circular driveway, but as part of our normal function, we can't really tell you that it's okay to get started with something at this point without that site visit and the feedback from it. Okay?
and because I thought you guys do the site visit before the meeting.
No, that's not usually how we do it. If the board is being requested by a member to do the site visit, then it follows the meeting.
Okay, terrific. Can I host you guys, and Megan and I can be there, not be there? You can see the interior, whatever you guys would like to do. We'd be happy to support that visit. And if not, you want to do it on your own, just let us know what day and we'll make sure that you guys that are doing the heavy grading work are out of your
I'll
way.
get a sense of that. Megan, yes?
Yeah, I just had another question on the fencing. I'm looking at the drive, you guys, just because that one picture has been up for a while. And so I apologize, I couldn't see the tree because I'm looking at the pictures that were on the drive, which is a much more graphic presentation, but there's a fence in the back, it looks like, and then there's a fence to the right side of the house. What kind of fence is that? And what is the purpose of the fence in the back for the pool, but then it doesn't connect on the front? Just curious.
Right, we just have a cedar 4-foot code compliant cedar fence around the pool. And so instead of just encapsulating the pool, we run that to the barn and then back across for the. So that cedar fence is essentially for code compliance. And that's, and our children, we have a 5 and a 7-year-old. So a lot of this has to do with safety and concerns about,
And
that
a
sort of
puppy,
thing.
which just got
And we have a
killed.
puppy. We lost one of our puppies
Our
to.
fence wasn't done. The dog got out, got hit by the train. We just need to
Yeah.
have a safe property for our family.
So that's what we're doing
My
with respect to
God.
the fence.
Yeah, it's been
Okay, I
really
just can't see it very well from the drawing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't have a clear picture of where it goes and what it looks like. That's all. So, and maybe there are more pictures next time you could bring that have the landscape plan so I can get a better look and feel.
Okay, great. Very good. Pinker, can you do a motion for an adjournment? And I'll second here.
I will make an emotion
An emotion?
to adjourn.
Okay. Second, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Verbally?
Hi, Megan says aye.
McMartin, aye.
Very good. Thank you.
Could we have just like a list of to summarize what you'd like to see changed or potentially changed so we can have this done? Like we'll have it done in a couple of days, but what would you like to see? Because we'll be happy to provide renderings and photos and anything else you need, but I wasn't crystal clear on the area or areas you were in question. One was the driveway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to see other options for the driveway, maybe not in the front yard, since you have so much parking on the left. And I understand the tree, so I would love to see more landscaping options. A night presentation, and then maybe the fireplace, a different tone.
Oh, the chimney? Yeah.
I'm sorry, yeah, chimney.
Very good.
And then white shingles.
Yeah, we'd also like to maybe hear some other ideas besides the white color, something that you think might fit in a little bit better than that.
Driveway, night view, chimney, shingles, anything else?
Nick, any other thoughts?
No, just some images or drawings of the existing for comparison in the package.
Okay, very good.
You want to say? Forgive me 1 second. Yeah.
I mean, can I just say one thing? Obviously the other homes that are in the village have all been approved by you. So, you know, like, again, this is our home. It makes me very sad that our dream of having a white home with black windows is something that can't happen. You have approved it from many other homes in the village, and I just want to clear that we're happy to change it if we have to, but it's really sad for us. We spent a lot of time and hard work on this, and we're happy to provide trees and anything that you guys need, but to dictate the color of our home, that's difficult. It's a hard one to swallow.
Because we're so diverse,
Because we're committed to making this beautiful and for the community.
Some of what you said might not be completely accurate. We don't get to choose the color of every house. Some people do change the color of their house, but most of the houses that are around you were there when we became a village in '05. So the existence of this review board came about because of some of the extreme diversity that the town was approving. And so we have found that to preserve the integrity of what we have left since, well, 1700 or so, needs to have that nurture. And so that's why we analyze that rather sometimes with a heavy hand.
Yeah. Okay, guys. And I just want to say, in addition to the things you asked for, I'd like to send you the properties that I've built out here. I'm a classic builder. I've always done gambrel and gable houses. I always work, whether it's a building I build in Brooklyn or in Manhattan, we always work with the community to make sure that it is the community. I didn't throw up a glass house here or something very unusual. We really were trying to work with the existing architecture and also maintain some of the materials so we didn't have to throw stuff in the landfill. So yeah, I'm going to show you a couple of the properties we've done, which are very consistent with, I think, the philosophy of what the board has, and we'll follow up with that in the
Okay, very good.
package. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on to the last item is 788, is that right?
778.
I'm sorry. I should know better. I mowed the lawn there a couple times. So Mary, you are back with us?
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. I don't know, Brian, are you there? Did you want to say anything? Okay, I don't know if you wanted to say anything, but I'm happy to dive in.
Mary, you can make the presentation. Go ahead.
Okay, great. So we're going to share a screen to walk you through the presentation. We last were here in November when the project was approved, and we have some very minor modifications today that we'd like to get approved so that we can get the foundation undergoing. We have been working on developing the drawings and doing the contract documents. And in so doing, we found that just accounting for the structure and some of the insulation in the walls, et cetera, we needed to change a few dimensions and just wanted to get that in front of you as soon as we could. So here is, I'm just going to walk you through the changes, and what we've done is just superimpose these changes on the package that you approved in November. So this just shows you the zoning information, the changes that we're talking about increase the footprint by a few feet. And so the overall square footage increased, but we're still well within the allowable. Next, please. And here's the site plan. This is 778 Sag Main, just north of Bridge Lane, and that's sort of just to orient you.
Yep. We
Page is in.
I'm now on page 3, but this again, these are just site photos. These have not changed at all. This is existing winter shots. Next, please. And then this, if you can see, John, I don't know, my colleague John is running the slideshow, but if you could just point out on that screen We have a couple of red dashes in this drawing that show you the dimensions that we're changing. There are 2 wings to the house. There's a low wing to the south. We'd like to add 1 foot to the length of that building. And then there's a double height, a 2-story wing to the north. And we were proposing to add 2 feet in length to that volume. Everything else is the same, with the exception of the height of one of the roofs. So we'll walk you through that as well.
Excuse me, Mary.
Yes.
I think John needs to mute because we can hear everything. I just don't have, I can't mute him on my end.
Is somebody not?
John Neely?
He looks muted, guys.
Yeah, he's muted.
No, that's.
That's noise from here.
No.
That's
Whatever happened, it's very nice and quiet now, and we can understand.
Okay. Okay, next, please. So this is showing the site plan. These are the site elevation plan elevations from the street. So you can see that the existing building on Sag Main is going to be slightly shifted but rebuilt. The Mannheim buildings are shown here just for scale, but from the street, these minor modifications should have no real impact. Next, please. The details for the building remain unchanged. Next. So this is a view, again, this building is about 200 feet back from the road, and it's behind the structure that will be on the road. So this is really a view that you won't be able to see, but to show you what we're talking about. If you can see on the left-hand side of the rendering, we're adding 1 foot to the length of that wall, and we're adding just over 2 feet to the height of the building. And this was to account for a structural dimension and some insulation that we needed. It's still lower than the building that is on the street, and in perspective, 200 feet back with lots of planting, it really won't be visible.
And so I have not been there. But
Next.
I've heard about it, and I was hoping you could just.
This is an oblique view from the access road to the, yes.
Is someone speaking loudly in your office?
I could see, hang on 1 sec.
The only reason I'm asking is because the audio track of this recording gets affected with all of that background, and it's very, very hard to discern what's going on in your conversation.
Can you hear me?
I guess, yes.
Okay, great. This is an oblique rendering from the access road at Sag Main to the north of the building. And this shows you the change in the 2 feet of length of building for the north wing. We're essentially adding the 2 feet to the west end, which is the interior side of the site. We're still well within the setbacks, et cetera. But the effect of the change increases the length of that lower roof, which is to the east. So that triangle that you see there is describing where that sort of higher roof started previously, and now it's 2 feet further to the east. So hopefully that's better. Go ahead. So this is a view that's interior to the site. We're looking back to the building from the west towards the east. And so this shows you, again, we've indicated in a red dashed line, the increase in height here, which is about just over 2 feet to the height of the low wing. Next. So these are the elevations that were approved. Next. This shows you hopefully clearly exactly where the new dimensions affect the elevations. Again, low wing, we're increasing by 2'3". We are not changing the height of the north wing, and the elevation number 5 to the north, you can see we're adding 2 feet to the length of the building towards the west.
Very good.
Back to whether it's to teach
Next,
research.
next.
The Morningside campus.
These are the floor plans just showing exactly those changes. Next. The home office, which is the building right on the street, remains unchanged. Next. These are the elevations for that. Again, no changes here. No changes to the pool house. No changes to the pool house elevations. And essentially everything remains the same.
Very good.
Interestingly, I'll just run you all the way through so that you know, one thing that did change is that, again, John, if you can scroll through to the percentages, because we're adding a little bit more wall, our wall to window ratios actually got better. You know, that's actually, you know, even that little bit of wall made a difference. Next, I think that's essentially it. The night views really don't change.
Right, very good. Okay, any questions from Megan or Nick?
Not for me.
No,
Seems
not for me.
Okay.
minor and aesthetically pleasing.
Ingrid?
No.
Okay, thank you very much, Mary. Is there a motion to approve the adjustments?
I'll make it, Megan will make the motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, name and yes, or aye?
Aye.
Megan, did you want to vote on that, if you would?
She made the motion.
I approve.
Okay, Nick, yes?
Yes. Okay.
Ingrid? Aye. All right, and Tom, aye. Thank you very much, all.
Thank you for your time.
Thank
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Welcome. All right, now, committee of two for May.
We need a committee of all of us to go look at the house.
We are going to do a site visit. Yes. Okay. So, Megan, are you around? Are you in and out next month?
May is kind of jammed,
Okay.
but it depends on when.
Okay.
June is better.
All right. Let's see. Nick, are you able to do that, or are you a little crazy?
I'm a little crazy, but I can do it if there isn't anyone else who can.
Very good. Thank you. Any closing comments? I'll ask Pat to get a schedule up for the site visit on Greenleaf, and we will let them know when we're going there, I guess. If you want to be greeted by the contractor, we can make that arrangement. Otherwise, you can visit it on your own, I think. And a motion for adjournment.
Make it, I'll make it.
Can I second? Yes. All right. All those in favor to adjourn?
No.
Aye.
You're not ready to
Megan
adjourn?
says aye.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you very much, all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. All right. Well, that was fun.